Dream on with weakened knees. I'm hungry, nervous, cannot speak. My mind's amazed because of you. Can't help but stare, it's how I get through. You know I do my best to get through. You know I do my best to get through. It won't be long before you see I'm not what I pretend to be. Just a guitar, a melody, a god complex and too much weed. Knock me out or say what
Well, first, I should say happy anniversary. It's been about 10 years. I think I owe you at least some flowers. The world of Chris. What do you want about the world of Chris? Which parts? Oh, man, if you don't know fitness and you're big into gaming, like you can up your gaming if you can up your fit. Oh no, the beauty of technology. I hate it. If you don't got the iCloud, yeah, if the iCloud doesn't come to the gym with you, you forget how to teach a lunge. And I've seen it. I've seen it. Oh yeah, well, I mean, like gaming can be a sport. You can break down sports with movement patterns, and how do you need to execute. And from my understanding, I worked with a couple gamers before. It all came down to endurance, tolerance, not even like mental fortitude, but like physical. So I remember one guy he came in before because he had like carpal tunnel and stuff, and like he couldn't use his wrist the way he used to from excessive gaming. So what we did was we worked on posture stuff. We gave him some homework and some stuff he can do outside of gaming to make his posture better, and that allowed him to play a little bit better. Then we did a lot of FST up in his neck, up in his shoulders, gave him more movement there. And then we actually started doing a bunch of grip training in the gym. And the grip training built up his endurance and he was able to game a little bit longer. So, like, there is a component of fitness that can make you a better gamer because eventually your body just says, you know what, I can't do this. My hands hurt, my elbows hurt, my wrists hurt. I can't be in this position. But the more you train those muscles and the endurance, you're just more bulletproof. You can play longer, and that's how you get better at your skill. Which like a sport, same thing. The more bulletproof you are in a sport, the longer you can do the sport, without injury.
Give me a second. I just got a message from one of my clients letting me know they could not hear me. They can hear you perfectly fine.
Oh,
Technology!
it's so good.
But so let's get over to the meat and potatoes. Tell me about you. I know you're a power lifter. I've known you've been with Good Life for what, 15 plus years now?
Yeah, man, 13 years with Good Life Fitness. I've been getting paid. This is different. When you ask someone how long they've been like a personal trainer, how long they've been in fitness or something, everyone will tell you a year that they started working out. There's a difference. I've been getting paid since 2005. So I've been getting paid as a fitness professional, a personal trainer, fitness consultant, strength conditioning coach, different hats, different days for 15 years. I've been working out longer, but I've been getting paid for 15 years. And I started out in a different realm. I started different than most people. I didn't start as a personal trainer. I started as a fitness consultant. So I would do fitness assessments with people in a fitness assessment center, in a lab at a university. I would do all the testing on people. And then I would write protocols and prescriptions for them for exercise. But I wasn't certified as a trainer. So I would then like hand them off to trainers. And then I was going through university at the time. Then I got a few certifications in personal training. Then I got my CSCS and I started working as a strength conditioning coach with teams. So I worked with university teams, wrestling, basketball, volleyball, swimming, rugby. Those are my meat and potatoes. Then I got into personal training. And then shortly after being into personal training, I took some of the strength conditioning stuff, applied it with some average people in the gym. Some average people in the gym like to lift heavy weights, and there was this sport starting to explode called powerlifting. So we just applied a lot of that stuff to 3 exercises, and people got pretty strong. They got into competitions, and I started off coaching way before I started actually competing. So I was always at competitions coaching people. And then eventually one day I said, you know what, this looks like fun. I like exercising. I think I'll do it in front of people. So then I started competing as well. But I would always say I'm a coach before a lifter any day. And a much better coach than a lifter too.
Good to hear. So I'm going to ask some of these questions. Since it is Twitch, we want to know, what is your favorite video game or what's your favorite board game? Since I know you have a family, what do you guys do when you're not lifting heavy weights or enjoying your free time?
Well, I'm a competitive guy. And it doesn't matter if you're my mother-in-law, if you're my wife, if you're my 7-year-old, my 5-year-old, I'm in it to win it. So it doesn't matter what the game is. If it's go fish, it's you go lose is how I look at it. If it's even with my mother-in-law, who's one of the smartest women I've ever met in my life, one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, my wife is right there with her. We play like Scrabble, right? And, Scrabble, they'll come out with these like, super big words like elegance. They can hit a word like that. Or like Sapphire. I'm like, okay, cool. Then all of a sudden I'm like, Wux. They're like, what's Wux? I'm like, WX. It fits right there. They're like, what is a Wux? I'm like, it's a word. Trust me. And you know what? I just got a W and an X, and there's a U. And you look it up on Google, and all of a sudden it's like triple point score. So I'm winning in Scrabble with words I didn't even really know what they were. But I'm in it to win it. So I'm looking for the triple point scores.
Go win. I like it.
Yeah, but when it comes to video games, like I used to be a big gamer. It was sports games. Loved sports games. Loved Madden. Loved all the NHL games. Face Off. I would play all 82 games. Like I would play every game. I wanted to own the stats, break all the records, go through the playoffs, the whole thing. And I remember just being a young guy. I had a PlayStation 1 back when, like, you had to buy like a memory card to save it. So I just never turned it off. I just had it on and I would play like 82 games. I'd just pause it, go to school, come home, play again. So like over a week's time, I played all the games in the playoffs. And then I remember I won the Stanley Cup and I was, I don't know, like 10 years old. And I was like pumped up and I'm like kind of celebrating. And my dad's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, Dad, I just won the Stanley Cup. He's like, no, you didn't. It's a game. And that was like a standard conversation I had with my dad growing up, but it didn't stop me. But sports games were always my go-to. I love playing sports games.
Have you played any recently or no?
No, so I have like when I'm in it to win it. So PS3, I stopped after that.
Okay.
I just couldn't. When it came to gaming and stuff, like with my life, I got kids now. I was like, I just get up early. I want to play before I go to work, and I just couldn't get all the other things done. So I just put life on hold. And like we pull out the PS3 and the kids play like Lego Batman on it and stuff. And every now and then I might pull out like Red Dead Redemption or something, or like Call of Duty, and then play a little bit of that. But I just have to I gotta keep it down because I'll just be hooked and I'll be right back into it.
Perfect. I was about to say, holy crap. Thank you for all the viewers that are showing up and showing love. We are almost at 200 people.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Hello?
But it's all across the world. So you work at Good Life, so do I. Patch's ideal.
Is Patch on here?
If Patch is on here right now, I will be mind blown. Hi, Patch. This is the next future of fitness, I'm hoping. I'm kidding. But his idea is to make sure every Canadian lives a happier, a healthy, good life. Why stop at Canada? Go across the world. You teach FST as well through Canada. That's world renowned right now. Every single person who's FST, if they're watching right now, set it free with FST, baby. I love it. Okay, so now let's go to the actual questions. Hi, everybody. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Zach. Hi, Nighthawk. Hi, Dylan. Over 700. There's over 700. Holy crap. All right, guys. We are somehow at... Okay, I don't even want to pay attention to that. So, as a coach, as a trainer, what have you found to be the hardest part of training?
Ooh, good question. So for myself, like working out or for clients?
Yes. So I want to end up getting into your head and asking you these questions because all the people that are watching, or hopefully all the people that are watching, are new to the gym. They want to figure out what they're doing, and having an insight from somebody that's done it for years and years and years might be a great idea for them to get the foot in the door.
Okay, so I know what you mean now. When people walk in the gym, the hardest thing for anyone to do is to get started. They come in and they're overwhelmed, they're confused, they're very worried. People are very worried about what happens when they enter a gym. They're worried if someone's looking at them, they're worried if they're doing an exercise right or wrong, they're worried if they're going to hurt themselves, they're worried if their muscles are going to get too big. They're just worried. And it kind of blows my mind because you don't need to be worried. 9 times out of 10, everything that you think you need to be worried about, you don't. One workout in the gym, your muscles won't get too big. You won't be a female who will walk out looking like a male. If you're on a machine and you're doing a push or a pull, you're probably not going to hurt yourself first day in the gym because you're probably not lifting heavy enough that if you lift it wrong, you're going to hurt yourself. Everybody thinks that everybody's looking at them when they're in the gym. But if everybody's thinking that, then nobody's looking at anyone else. Everyone's looking at themselves, being like, oh my God, everyone's looking at me. But that's not the case. And the people who go to the gym on a regular basis, they love when new people come to the gym. Because people who go on a regular basis, they know how good it feels. They know what it's done for them. So it's a very supportive community in the gym space. And not everyone's really aware of that. So when someone's new to the gym, they're worrying way too much. But the reality is, if you've never exercised before, any exercise in the beginning is going to be beneficial. Because once you've stimulated your body adapts by getting better. That is what exercise is. So if you're not stimulating your body regularly, once you start walking on a treadmill, that's going to make you a little bit better. Grab a dumbbell, make you even more better. Do some stretching. Now you're more flexible. You can get the greatest results in that first 2 to 4 weeks of gym when you've never exercised before. The downside is you don't keep progressing at that rate. So people get pretty pumped up and they see all these progress like day after day, week after week, but then all of a sudden they start to plateau or get stuck. And that's when you're using like a professional to help you in those situations, bust through plateaus, and then help you exercise a little bit more efficiently, create a program that might be more customized for you. But in the beginning, people are just worried way too much. They don't need to be.
Perfect. Great answer. I completely agree with you. When you go to the gym, nobody's really paying attention to anyone. I remember this was years ago when I think it was in Stratford or Peterborough. The one guy I worked out with, he's like, hey, check this out. He's like, who looked at me? I'm like, no one. He's like, exactly. I'm like, I don't know if I should be smiling or laughing at the same time. Whew.
It's so true, man. And like sometimes I'll lift a heavy weight and that might happen to me. And I do a quick stop and I do a quick look around and I realize everyone's got their headphones in. You can pass gas every rep you want. The majority of people in the gym are listening to music. They can't hear you.
I don't know, that wild card. You never know what's going to happen. Thank you for the follow, Blonde Lux. So Dylan just asked, are you able to strengthen the ligaments by stretching or is it mainly flexibility?
To strengthen a ligament, because ligament's a connective tissue, it's a bit different than a muscle. So a muscle, they lengthen, but their primary job is to pull bones together. They pull. So like a bicep, when a bicep shortens, it pulls this bone and this bone together. Ligaments connect muscle to bone. So they're going to be that fibrous tissue here. The fibrous tissue gets stronger when it's stimulated in a lengthened and a shortened position. So for an example, a bicep tendon that would connect, your bicep to your bone here. The more you do exercises like this, where it's fully lengthened and then fully shortened, over time the fibrous tissue can become harder and thicker. If it's harder and thicker, it can be stronger. But if you go beyond that, it can become tight and restrictive. So sometimes you'll see men or women who do a lot of bicep training, but they never fully lengthen their bicep. So a fully lengthened bicep is the arm actually has to be behind you like this. So if they never do any curls in this position here, and everything is in line with them or in front of them, what happens is they never stretch that tissue. So it gets harder and tighter, but more in a shortened position, never in a lengthened position. So what happens when they try to lengthen it under load is it's not strong in that position. This is where you'll see, I've only seen men, I've never seen women doing a preacher curl, which is an exercise like this, and they load too much weight, and that's where they tear things like bicep tendons. Or in powerlifting, you'll see people deadlift with a bent elbow. The tendon's not strong enough to handle that weight in that position. We're all watching the Olympics right now. And you just saw the high jump finals were the other night, right? When you look at all the high jumpers run, they do this spring-like motion, this bouncing to create some momentum, and then they try to leap. I think the gold medal was 2.7 meters. Crazy height if you think about that. All those high jumpers, if you look at their anatomy, they're all built very similar. Long legs, thin legs, not very muscular legs. They have high calves, so the calf muscle is high on the back of the leg, and it has a very long Achilles tendon. Genetically, they are in a better position to create a spring-like effect than someone with a shorter calf and a shorter Achilles. If they train that Achilles enough to get it very dense, hard, and tight, it'll coil and recoil much faster than super flexible Achilles tendons. So for a high jumper, they want to have all that stiffness in that area. For like you or me going to the gym, if we want to do exercises like barbell squat and our ankles don't bend really well because the Achilles tendon's all tight and stiff and the muscles around there are tight and stiff, we might need more flexibility in that area to do an exercise. But a high jumper, you don't want to give them crazy flexibility at that ankle. You want it stiff. You want that tissue, that fibrous tissue to be harder, and that'll create more of a spring. And that's why those humans can jump 2.7 meters, and you and me on our best days, we're clearing 20 inches.
If I'm lucky. I'm top heavy. Thank you, Tony, with the raid. 5 new people. Also, guys, if anyone wants to add Chris on Instagram, he is See the Fudge. I've already put his link in the description. So feel free to get any questions you guys cannot answer today's show. Feel free to send him a message or put it in the Discord, and I can always send him a message as well. Thank you, Killer Podcast Fudge from Cryptic. Nice.
Oh, yes.
But yes, he also has a podcast, guys, so that's also in his Instagram. Make sure you take time out of your day to try to end up jumping in and checking that out. Whew. So, this question makes no sense, but I'm going to read it anyway. I'm a vegan. What are your thoughts on growing?
You're a vegan?
No. I have questions in my Discord. So people ask me questions. I've got questions from people at the gym as well today. My partner was asking me questions. Somebody asked me, I'm a vegan. What are your thoughts on helping me grow?
Well, the first thing I would say is my condolences. But no, that's a tiny joke. That's a little atrophied joke. Vegans can grow. Okay, vegans can grow. Carnivore-based diet people, they can grow. McDonald's-based diet people, they can grow. Everyone can grow. People can grow at different rates. People can get sick at different rates. People can get overweight at different rates. One thing I've learned over the years when it comes to nutrition is anybody can survive off anything. Anybody can survive off anything. And when I was developing myself as a trainer and I was reading all these different nutritional styles, and it's like vegans best, vegetarians best, plant-based best, carnivores best, Atkins is best, keto is best, fast, eat every 3 hours, eat every 30 hours. It was just, everything was contradictory to each other. And I just sat back for a second. I said, I know my dad. And my dad has been living off 30 cups of coffee, a block of cheese, and a bun or a sleeve of crackers like every day, and he's 70, right? And my dad's kicking it. And he shouldn't be. If you look at it from a nutritional standpoint, he should not be kicking it today. He drank water. Last time he drank water was like Obama was pres, right? Like, it's been a while. He's not a water drinker. Like, how do you live and just not drink water? So I sat back and I said, anybody can live off anything if my dad's still kicking. Now, the difference is you can live differently. Some people can live better one way than the other. One of the unique things about nutrition is just like fingerprints. It is not black and white. It is unique as you and me. So let me give you an example. I can eat eggs. I can smash 12 eggs. I can eat market eggs. I can eat grocery store eggs. I can eat duck eggs. No problem. Okay. Friend of mine, he's got a little girl. And when she was born, she just had like hives all over her body. After some testing, they figured out that she had an allergy to eggs. And mom and dad ate a lot of eggs when she was in the womb. She's so severely allergic to eggs, any type of egg, that she could die if she ate too many. Are eggs bad for you? No. Are eggs bad for her? Yeah. Are eggs bad for me? No. So right away, there's a difference. Some people, they can tolerate high amounts of fiber. Some people get constipated on high amounts of fiber. Some people, they have different amounts of bacteria in their guts, like in their small intestines, different types of bacteria. And that bacteria will feed off a high carbohydrate diet. Some people don't have that bacteria in their small intestine, and it doesn't feed off high carbohydrate diets. So some people are more prone to heartburn, SIBO, acid indigestion, just because of the bacteria in their gut, while others aren't. That's why your buddy can have a croissant for breakfast every day of the week, and why you and I have it, we get heartburn. So we're unique and we're different. The best nutrition for anybody is always figuring out what allows you to have the minimal or the no inflammation in your dietary tract, no inflammation, what food you eat that you digest the most and get the most out of it, and what nutrition are you doing to supplement your training goals. If someone is vegan and they want to put on a bunch of muscle, they want to do a bunch of hypertrophy work, easiest way to hypertrophy a muscle is supplementation. It's supplementation. I am a medium-sized strength conditioning coach. I got a little bit of hair, but I'm not fully bald. I got a little beard, not a big one. I got a medium-sized neck, but not a thick one. And I say to be like a legit strength coach, you got to be pure bald, huge beard, massive neck. Yes. One of the major differences, I would say, between me and some strength coaches, I don't use anabolics. I don't use steroids. I've never taken a steroid in my life. Not that I'm against it. You know, there's a lot of benefits for it. Steroids are used for cancer patients. Steroids are used for hip replacements, knee replacements. There's good stuff that comes out of it. One of the easiest ways to put on size is to use anabolics. So if you're a vegan and you're like, I don't really care about my nutrition, you could use anabolics or supplementation. I'm not saying to do it, but I am calling a spade a spade. So sometimes you will see people in the fitness world who are these vegans. And these vegans are bodybuilders. They say, I'm a vegan bodybuilder. But they would compete in maybe an open division or an open competition. That means they're not drug tested. So if they're not drug tested, it's like being a hockey player and not using skates. So anyone who competes in open bodybuilding is usually on anabolics. So if someone says, I'm a vegan bodybuilder and I'm jacked and I'm huge, yeah, you might eat your plant-based nutrition, but instead of having a steak at night, you take a syringe.
Oh, so natural.
Just take that in consideration. Now, anyone who goes vegan, and this is just my own observation, I can't sit here and reference specific studies, but so I've coached bikini girls over the years who get on stage, and bikini is it's like an athletic, little bit of muscle, little bit of show. You got a little bit of junk in the trunk, but you still got like a six-pack and you got some delts on you. And so these girls have to have muscle. Like, that's a standard. So a lot of them come to me looking average, like 140, 120 pounds, usually like thin girls who might have like a two-pack or they've got the potential of one. Once we start doing resistance-based training, a lot of tempo work, hypertrophy style nutrition, 16, 20, 24 weeks, they get some muscle, you put some spray tan on them, they get on stage, they look awesome. So any girl I've ever coached has placed in the top 4. I've coached a bunch of girls who have won first and the overall, except for 3. 3 girls who I've trained who were, one was vegetarian, the other 2 were pure vegan. They could not get the physique that they wanted for the show, and we just didn't end up competing. They just never went that far. And I kept saying, like, if you hit your macronutrients, your carbs, fats, the protein source with the combinations, I expect you to look like everyone else, but they just couldn't do it. And when they would eat that food, the training was the same, so they were not getting the same results. So I don't know how you can hypertrophy at the same speed. Now, if you gave me a male, it would be much different because we could overload them with a lot more heavier lifting. These are very petite women that lose a little bit of body fat, and we could also overload them with higher calories. These girls just couldn't eat as much food. So I don't know if it's easy to do it. I know you can gain weight. Anybody can gain weight eating anything. But if you want to put on like Twinkies, like if you want to put on muscle though and not put on a bunch of fat, it's a little bit more difficult because you got to get the right combinations of the amino acids, and then also not bloat. Because for some people, when they eat high plant-based foods, they get gassy, belching, diarrhea. Those are all signs you don't digest it well. I can eat broccoli a little bit. I can't eat a whole bunch. That high amounts of fibrous stuff, my digestive system just says, no, I can't do it. So all of a sudden, someone says to me, 2 cups of broccoli is the same amount of protein as 4 ounces of steak. Yeah, cool. I can eat 4 ounces of steak. I can't eat 2 cups of broccoli. Next. For me. But let's say this person who asked this question is like, I can eat 2 cups of broccoli and I feel great. Well, guess what? 2 cups of broccoli is for you. Nutrition's unique. You got to find what works best for your body. And the only way that I'm very familiar with that is not so much even going like blood type testing, but like trial and error.
80%, we know what we're doing. 20%, we play around.
Love it.
Alrighty, guys. Also, would you recommend a strength program for anyone new coming to the gym?
Yeah.
What if they've had zero experience?
Let me flip the question around. What's wrong with getting strong?
Nothing.
Have you ever, in your life, met anyone that was too strong?
My uncle thinks he's super strong, and I giggle. I'm just kidding. It sounds bad.
When your uncle opens pickles, does he shatter the jar? Right? When he opens the door of a car, does he rip it off?
I think I've seen that happen once.
The dad in The Incredibles?
Oh, that's unreal. Aiden
I've never met anyone who was too strong.
True.
But you know what, Adam? I've met a lot of people that were too weak.
Yeah. And
a lot of their day-to-day stuff is challenging because they're just not strong enough. Now, I don't mean you need to bench press double your body weight. I don't mean you need to be a power lifter. But I mean, there's a lot of people walking around my gym who don't do the Stairmaster because they say it hurts their knees. But what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing is they don't have the structure, the stability, the strength to step up and down more than 10 times because they've never demanded it of themselves. Because anytime they had to walk more than one flight of stairs, they took an escalator, they took an elevator. So they weren't strong enough to do it. So I think everybody should do some strength training. And I think that once you've done some strength training, you have a foundation for other types of exercise. You build your strength first, then you can add on top of it. It's like the foundation of a house. So absolutely, I think if someone's never done any training, the first type of training they could do would be strength training. And the good news is you can do less exercises, so you get more practice at it.
True.
You could just pick like 4. And I mean, let's be honest, like most strength training exercises aren't even full range, they're partial range of a joint. So like a bench press is like a partial range of a shoulder, right? Yeah. You know, a powerlifting squat is just below parallel. Like that's not full range of your hips, knees, and ankles, right? So you can get away with some strength training if you already have some joint mobility issues. Now, if you said, could someone never exercise before coming to the gym and start a weightlifting program? I'd say probably not. Like not without any specialized coaching or with a background in something like gymnastics.
I was going to say that's actually exactly what happened to me today. I had an assessment and the guy showed me his program. It was a 5x5. He's never worked out before in his life. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, do you know how to squat? Nope, my back hurts. So my friend, we will need to talk.
No, like it can be done. So here's the thing. Like that guy says that. Well, who's training him? Is it him or you?
Him.
Oh, well, if he's going to figure it out after 1 or 2 workouts, it's not the right idea. But it's the same as like a brand new guy who goes into the gym or girl and goes on bodybuilding.com and like downloads Flex Wheeler's, you know, Pec Popper 101, and it's 9 exercises for his chest. And he hasn't done a push-up since grade 10 phys ed, right? It's the same thing. It'd be way too much for the person. The person would attempt to do it, would probably get halfway through and quit, walk out of the gym, be like, I can't feel my fingertips, and then wake up the next day and say, that was too much. It's the same with a guy starting with a 5x5. If they don't know how strong they are, they don't know what percent to go with, if they don't know the technique, of course they're going to lift with their back. They're going to wake up the next day and they're going to say, you know, that probably was not the best idea. Now, if I could control the scenario, if someone came in and it's their first day in the gym and they said, hey, I want to do strength training, I'm like, I can help you with that, no problem. Right? And what I might do is, even if I had the exact same program of 5x5, I might say, well, first we have to identify, can you even do the lift? So here's the blueprint of what the exercise should look like. I would see if they could do it. If not, we got to teach them that. Step 1. Then they know how to do that. Then it's like, let's see how strong you are. We don't know how strong you are. So you don't even have to test them for a full max. Most people say, well, to find out how strong I am, I got to keep adding weight and do 1 until I can't do any more. No, definitely don't do that. Instead, what you could do is you could just have 2 sets of 5 until the bar speed starts to slow down or the technique starts to suffer, and call it there. And then let's say it's 100 pounds. I do it for 5 reps. And then, you know, on the 5th rep, the bar speed was slower or the technique was off. I would say, okay, 100 pounds, put it in my maximum calculator. And all of a sudden their estimated 1RM is 125. And I can use that number to base a percent-based program off of. and it's probably 135, but I'm going a little bit lighter. So my chances of them hitting every rep moving forward is going to be a lot higher. So I like to kind of underestimate by 10 pounds with a lot of people, so they never miss any lifts in the gym, and their progress just goes straight up like that.
Progressive overload is key.
Yeah.
Crip, did I tell you about the guy that didn't listen and snapped as a kill? I don't want to hear that shit. Yui. Alrighty. We're going to come back to you after Crip. So what is your favorite lift then? I always see you posting those nice, beautiful deadlifts of yours, but I also see the squats as well. What is your go-to lift?
Oh man, like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, the players they hated the most were each other, and they were also the players they respected the most because they brought the most out of them. So when I started doing coaching, I never had to do squatting because I was just coaching. So I didn't do a lot of lower body training. But then when I started doing powerlifting, my squat was hands down my weakest lift. Like hands down my weakest lift. And I was just like, I gotta figure this thing out and get good at it. So long story short, I took my weakest lift, and I put on over 150 pounds over a 12-month period on the lift, and it became not so bad anymore. And then over time, it became one of my favorites. And now I would say the squat is my favorite lift, and it's the one I do the most of, and it's the one I'm now the best at. So the one I hated the most, I think it's just because we have this relationship. I put so much time into this relationship, right? And it loved me back. It gave me something in return. The deadlift is the exercise I train the least. I don't like it the most. It took me a really long time to learn the technique that I'm happy with. And now I find that as long as I train my squat regularly, I can maintain my deadlift. And every time my squat goes up by 5 kilos, my deadlift goes up by 5 kilos. So now that I've gotten to a point where my technique is what it is, I just need to just touch it every now and then and not push it. Because when I push my deadlift way too much, then I can't train my other lifts because my body's just like toast.
Ooh. Here's a question I love asking people because it's exactly what I do. Well, I have my own little. What is your pre-game rituals? What do you do before comps? What do you do before a big heavy lift?
If you ever see me at a meet, I'm not like
I've seen you at a meet.
Yeah, I'm not like most lifters up there screaming and stuff and getting all fired up. I usually got my hip hop on, my headphones. I like Crisscross, Warm It Up Chris. Like literally that's my warm up song when it's go time. It's the first song I play. And I kind of stay to myself when I do my thing, and I joke around with some people that I see every now and then, but I don't get fired up. I visualize a lot. The lift's been made before I've attempted it. I know exactly where my hand goes. I go right, left, right. I use a false grip. I know exactly how the knurling feels on my hand. I know exactly where that bar needs to go in the mid back. I can feel it before I even have it there. I know step by step. It's chalk. It's the shoe, the sleeve, this. I know the breath, the air, the walkout. Man, I've done almost 70 competitions.
Jesus.
I practiced it so much that it's just ingrained in me now. And if I told you, in the last decade I've squatted 2.5 times a week in 10 years, that's an ingrained pattern. If I said I've benched 3.5 times a week for 10 years, it's ingrained, right? If I said I've deadlifted 1.5 times, man, it's ingrained. So my ritual is just the same thing that I've just always done. And it started off even with Crisscross, Warm It Up Chris.
I was going to say, the first time I seen you at a competition, I think it was the London competition, you drove up from Ottawa, and you said you ended up barely making weight.
Yeah.
And the very first thing I see him do after he weighs in is eat a goddamn poutine or a muffin. Yeah. I was smiling. Oh, that's what I was asking. We all have our nice pregame go-tos. Mine, I always watch Dragon Ball Z. I don't know why. When I was a kid, it was my favorite go-to. One of the quotes they said is, "How did you get so strong? I did all the push-ups, ate my food, and drank all my juice." So that's my pregame warm-up. That's mine as well. So
love it.
That was the big one. When you were talking about knee sleeves, what are your beliefs on knee sleeves? Are they good or bad?
They're good and bad.
Enlighten me.
So, they're good and bad for what they offer. So what a knee sleeve does is compressive sleeve over a knee joint. So the knee is an avascular joint, which means it does not have a direct blood supply, unlike other joints of our body. So how does it get, lubricated? Well, when the knee joint itself compresses and decompresses, compresses, decompresses, the body starts secreting more synovial fluid, lubricating up the joint. This also happens at a faster rate when the joint is warm compared to cold. So through like vasorestriction and stuff, if a joint is cold, you're not going to get that. So what does a sleeve provide? Heat. So that's one of the things it does. When you start moving it and creating heat in that area, it keeps heat in that area, so it keeps the joint warmer. What a sleeve does when you have the right sleeve as well is it acts as a coil recoil. So there is a stretch component to a knee sleeve. So if you wear the sleeve properly, and I coach people how to wear the sleeves properly, what happens a lot of times when I take over a new athlete who's done some lifting before and they haven't had a lot of technical coaching, or they're just on their own and stuff, they don't even know how to wear a knee sleeve. They don't have the knee sleeve properly. So the knee sleeve, based on the diameter of it and the length of it, you want the patella directly in the middle of the knee sleeve to maximize the amount of stretch and shortening. So a lot of people wear their sleeves too far down the knee. It doesn't, like, they have it just above the patella. That is either because the sleeve is too small or it's too big and it slides down. So getting an adequate size sleeve is ideal to maximize the stretch shortening effect and a little bit of a rebound. Now, I wouldn't say that a sleeve can give someone so much. Like I won't guarantee like a sleeve gives you 5 kilos on your squat or 10 kilos, because it's the amount of knee flexion you use maximizes the stretch reflex. So if you're a wide stance squatter and when you hit depth, your knee is at 90 degrees, you're not getting a lot of that. But if you're a narrow stance squatter, right, and your knee goes, like 60 degree angle at the bottom, like you're much more likely to stretch more of that tissue and then get more out of it. If you're someone with a big set of calves and your calves are going to smash the back of your hamstrings, you're going to utilize that better. If you just got sticks for legs, it doesn't matter how much sleeve you have. Like if you're not bending, it's just not happening. So the sleeve will be beneficial for the right person who has the right size, who puts it in the right place. Now, where the sleeve does not become beneficial is when someone uses a sleeve too small, where it ends up restricting any movement of the knee joint itself. So I've had people before who said, I used to get knee pain from powerlifting, and the next thing you know, they're wearing extra small knee sleeves, and then all of a sudden they have like medium sized knees, and I'm like, well, how does it feel without the knee sleeve? So my knee feels so much better. And I'm like, well, it's the sleeve. Like it was restricting the amount that you could do. I've seen people have to cut knee sleeves off because they went too tight as well, where they've strained calves, because it squeezed so much on the gastroc, so the muscle behind your knee, and when they went down into the bottom part of the squat and the knee has to track forward, it has to lengthen the gastroc, because they had so much squeezing from the sleeve, it could not lengthen. So what happens is the heel would come off the ground, and then that weight gets pushed through and it strains, and they would pull a calf, strain a calf or a gastroc muscle, because the sleeve did not allow the tissue to glide and slide the way it's supposed to. So there's an example of a sleeve is not good, and then I gave a few examples of how a sleeve is good.
Ooh, there you go, Dylan. I hope those answered your questions. The last couple of shows we've had, people have been asking questions on powerlifting, so I've been trying to write down a lot of those. Reasoning wise, each show we have different people, different topics. So I know I can't really say your specialty. You're a jack of all trades. You're good at many things. Give me 2 seconds. So come here, big girl. Give me a hug. You going to bed? Please don't play. Come here. Say hi to the show. No. Sorry, my daughter's super shy. She's like running behind. Oh, wait, give me a second. Here she is. Come here. Oh, don't jump. I want you to say hello to Chris. Say hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Say
Hello.
Say thanks for coming on today's show.
Thanks for coming
On today's show.
on today's show.
It's
You're
time
very
for bed,
welcome.
Don't touch don't touch the microphone. Don't touch the microphone. It turns it off. Go, big girl. It's bedtime. Hey.
Did Daddy give you that candy he was going to give you before bed?
No, I bought her an LOL doll. She was super excited.
Cool.
Fudge is the man. Everyone's loving you, Chris. I love it. Also, guys, thank you guys all for making it out today. We've had a ridiculous amount of viewers. We still have 20 minutes to ask Chris as many questions as you want. Thank you guys all also for the follows. What are the other questions we have? What supplements would you recommend to new lifters or seasoned lifters? Or
Any seasoned lifter's probably going to be glucosamine.
they're probably going to say
destroyed.
the anabolic. I'm kidding.
No, but when it does come to supplements and supplementation, the first thing you have to do if you are a competitive athlete is you have to know what is the rules and regulations of your sport. So in powerlifting, there is different federations, some with drug testing and some with not. So I compete in the International Powerlifting Federation, and we are our body of drug testing is the World Anti-Doping Agency, the exact same as the Olympics. So essentially, if I walk into GNC with my eyes closed and I grab 10 random things, I probably can't take 5. Because there could be small little things in there like proprietary blends, there could be too much stimulants, just little things, maybe diuretic, stuff that we're not allowed to take as athletes. So you have to do your homework, do your diligence, know where you're competing, what you can take. Now, most people that I work with can always utilize a little more protein in their diet. And it's just when I sit down, we talk food and stuff, when we talk recovery, the reality is I find that a lot of people are just, they're eating around that like 0.3 to 0.4 grams per pound of body weight. And then next thing you know it, like they're sore all the time. They're just not getting enough in. So I would say a protein powder supplement is a no-brainer for anyone. You know, drug tested, not drug tested, you can use protein powders. But I will suggest you always get a protein powder you can digest. So just because you get the mass super dump tub for 50% off and it's 17 pounds of protein powder, that don't mean it's good. If you put stuff in your gut and you get inflamed from it and it goes out you sooner than it went in you, like your money is in the toilet. Instead, you want to take some sources of protein that you digest well. So how do you know if you digest it well? One, you should have a regular, normal bowel movement. Shouldn't be broken up. Shouldn't be floating to the top of the ceiling. Shouldn't look like rabbit poo. Should be dark brown, solid. It should be like a Titanic, like 80% underwater, 20% above.
The ship's about to sink.
The other thing as well is you don't want to get gas from it. If you get gas from protein shakes, if you burp, if you bloat from it, like you don't digest that well. So in my younger days, I was all about the deals. Where's the deal? Oh, I can get this 5-pound tub of protein from China, right? If I just pay the shipping and handling for $30, let's do it. But then I was that kid. I was, someone who was just gassy all the time and I didn't know any better. And then I saw it firsthand with my kids. So in our household, eating healthy is a standard thing. And I got a 5 and a 7-year-old. And we usually give them, pea protein or rice protein. And then one day we were just out of it. And I'm looking in the back of the cupboard and I said, oh, there's some like diesel protein that I had back there from I don't know when. So I took it out, put a couple scoops in their shakes, blended them up a little something special, gave it to them. And then we were out and about for the morning and we weren't driving 5 minutes. And my boys are like, we got to go to the bathroom. I'm like, what? They're like, Daddy, I got to poo. I'm like, ooh, run to the gas station, get them out. And they just right through them. And I was like, man, why did that? Oh, it's the diesel protein. It's the only thing different in their day-to-day, the only thing different. And they always ate the rice and pea blend protein, which is a brand called Warrior. So I was like, they are the cleanest source of health. They are what we all should be, children, right? Before we mess them all up with other things. So I was like, yeah, no more am I anyone that I work with, I'm suggesting they eat bad protein. So actually, funny thing is one of the sponsors of the podcast show I have, it's called Supplement Pro. So Supplement Pro works with medical grade supplements. And what they do is they put together protocols for people based on their unique situations. So someone essentially says like, I'm a power lifter. I don't digest this. I don't digest this. I digest that. And they put together protocols. It would be like a medical grade stuff. Something like a naturopath would prescribe someone. Stuff you're not going to find in GNC. So, protein powders, rice protein, pea protein. That's what my kids eat. That's what I eat. That's what all my clients use, right? And they digest it so much better and they get more out of it. So that's like your standard supplement that most people can benefit from with like limited to no side effects as long as you have the right thing. The second supplement I would suggest anyone has, because you got to think, like when you train, you want to get something out of training. You want to burn fat, you want to build muscle, you want to be stronger. Those are probably like the 3 biggest things people want to do. All that happens not while you're training. All that happens when you're asleep. So if you don't sleep good, you don't grow good. You don't burn fat good. You don't get strong good. And if you're sitting there listening to this now and you're like, yo, I sleep like shit and I got pretty strong, that's amazing. Imagine how much stronger you could have got if you slept well. Because when you sleep, your body produces growth hormone, testosterone, which is great for strength, which is great for building muscle, which is great for burning fat. It doesn't happen when you're awake. So for anyone who struggles to have good quality sleep, I would suggest using like a combination of a magnesium and a melatonin together. High quality, good grade stuff, using that before bed and getting on a healthy sleep cycle, a healthy sleep routine as well, so that you can maximize your sleep every night you go to bed, so you can maximize your recovery. The harder you recover, the harder you can train, the stronger you get, the better results you get. So anytime I work with someone, anytime they ask about supplements, those are usually like my two biggest things, because they're supplementing holes in their life. They're not eating enough protein and they're not sleeping well. If everything is good, you want to add something on top. That's when you could look at other things like using creatine, which besides caffeine is probably the highest studied supplement on the planet of all time. You know, it's a standard one, and it just works. Creatine just works at minimal dosages. It's just one of those supplements. It does show that over these 35,000 studies, it can make you a little bit better, which I'm surprised it's not a banned substance yet, because it does show a little bit of positive. I even read one the other day on longevity. And it was that supplementing with creatine as microdose as 2 grams a day. 2 grams a day is good for the arterial walls. So what it does, allows your body to repair plaque buildup damage, which then is correlated, okay? It's correlated with longevity or longer age of life. So now they're saying the creatine even helps you live longer. So, you know, that's the next step.
Dylan, I want you to clip that. I want everyone to hear rest helps you grow. It helps you recover. If everybody keeps training hard, or if people that are starting out at the gym, sometimes less is always more. Feel what your body feels. If you're going to a gym every day, you're sore as hell, you're not feeling the way you want to feel, Chris just said, take magnesium, take a melatonin, just relax, because a lot of the times we're stubborn. We want to get to the end goal. We just want to run straight for it, but there's a lot of stepping stones we need to go through. So Dylan, if you can, please clip that.
Yeah, and if anyone wants like a hookup with Supplement Pro, they can come through this, I guess, to get to me and stuff, and I can hook you guys up with that as well.
Guys, I am posting him right back in the Twitch again. So his Instagram is @theFudge. It's in there if anybody would like to add him as well. Oh, there's a couple more questions, and then we will be free for today. Everyone's loving it. Tony, what's your last name? He's taken FST with you. I think he's taken a couple DTS courses with you. Actually, quite a bit of these people already follow. I know you are, Tony. Cacone? Yeah, I'm going to butcher your last name, Tony. I'm sorry. And we'll go to like an easier question. What would you give advice to new coaches? People that are in this channel right now that are actually mind blown of how much an impact training can actually do.
For new coaches, so let me tell you a story about my new coach experience.
Okay.
So it was one of my first days at Good Life, and the manager at the time, he said, we're going to have a team meeting. So we're having the team meeting and stuff, and he goes, Chris, introduce yourself. Hi guys, I'm Chris. He's like, tell me your specialty. I said, I don't really have one. He's like, no, tell him your specialty. Like, you worked with athletes and stuff. I said, I worked with some athletes. I said, but I'm a personal trainer. I'm pretty good with most people. Afterwards, he said to me, he's like, man, like I set you up, like you got to have like your niche and stuff like that. And I said, I don't want my niche. He said, what do you mean? Like everyone needs a niche. I said, you know what? If I have a niche, then I'm going to be really good at one type of client. I don't want to be really good with one client. I want to be pretty good with most. I want to be good with everyone. Now, I'm not saying I want to be an expert in all areas. If someone comes in, they got 2 prosthetic hips, and I don't have the training behind that, I'm not going to be their trainer. If someone comes in and they've got an eating disorder, I'm not going to be their trainer. But if someone comes in and they want to lose weight, I want everyone on my team to be like, yeah, Chris can help them lose weight. They want to get strong. Chris can help them get strong. They want fascial stretch therapy. Chris can help with stretching. They want accountability, lifestyle coaching. Chris can help with that. They want to run a 5K. Chris can help with that. So I just want to be well-rounded and well-versed. People like to dive into these niches, and I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if you take a niche that's just way out of your realm. Like, for me to go to a commercial gym as a strength conditioning coach, like, if you're an athlete, you don't go to Good Life to get your training on, right? You're at the university with the coaches there, right?
Don't
like
say
you're at the
that.
CFL. Like you won't get as many. Like you're
True.
going to get a handful of men and women between the ages of 40 and 50 years old who have put their health on the back burner their entire life, and now they're in a position where they want to reclaim their health. They might be in a financial situation where they can afford it, or they couldn't at one time, right? So those are the majority of people you're going to be working with. So get really good at those types of people. They are going to come in super vulnerable. They're going to come in with no self-esteem. It's going to be very hard for them to tell you how they feel about themselves. So you have to be empathetic. You have to be compassionate. And you got to be there for them. If they're going to see you 3 hours a week, you got to make it the best 3 hours of their life. And if you can do that, especially early on, which is hard, you can usually do that with enough time. But if you can do that early on, and if you can eventually do that, you can change a person's life so drastically. Think of this. If you meet someone in their 40s and you get them to like exercise, you may have just extended their life by 20 years. If they're 30 pounds overweight and you get them to drop that between the ages of 40 and 50, their chances of hitting 80 are just like 200% increased. That's a fact. When you look at BMI, people don't like BMI, but BMI does say that people with low BMI numbers live longer. No one lives to 100 with a BMI over 30. That's never happened that I'm aware of. BMI matters. So getting people in healthy BMI rates, body mass index, excluding the extremes for different reasons, I'm all jacked and muscles, take those freaks out of the case. You want to live long, you have to have healthy body composition. So if you can get someone to lose that in their 40s, they're going to make it. You just added 20 years to someone's life. Like, that's powerful. So get good at that rather than be like the expert who works with ankles. It's good to be good with ankles, but the majority of your clients coming in, that's the least of their problems right now is their ankles.
True. I was going to say, I think I've been at Good Life now for 10 or 11 years. I think I've had less than 20 athletes, scholarship or football guys, a few power lifters. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's people in the 40s and 50s that they need longevity. So I got two more.
And I'm not the best person to say this because, like 50% of my clientele are power lifters these days, right?
Yes.
But let me explain this. Don't forget, I put my hours and my time in working with everyone. I've trained over 20,000 hours of people. I made a chunk of mistakes in the beginning, and that built me all the competence I have now. But now I'm in a position where niche people come to me, right? But I'm taking care of their mom and dad too. I'm taking care of the aunt and uncle. Send grandma in for the little FST, no problem, right? They know that I will be able to handle the entire family. So now I'm just like, if you're a real estate agent, you want to sell a new home buyer, you want to get them into a small house and you want to get already in their ear, you're selling this in 5 years, you're going to make a profit and get a bigger house. Then you're going to get married, have a couple of kids, sell that one, and get a bigger house. And then we're going to downsize you to a bungalow. So you're thinking 4 or 5 houses for one person. That's the relationship. When you're pretty good in a handful of areas, you should be thinking the client, the brother, the sister, the mom, the dad, the grandma, the kids. And then all of a sudden, the relationships you can have with these families, and you can train so many more people. Then you get to pick and choose your niche a little bit later on, but you got to get the grassroots stuff out of the way early.
Perfect. Sorry, give me 2 more seconds. So the last 2 questions, one's stupid. I'm going to ask this one first because it made me giggle. The guy Nighthawk would like to know, what's your favorite type of fudge?
Oh man, my mom makes the fudge. And say what you want.
Wait, actual fudge?
My mom makes a dirty fudge. It's so good that I don't like most fudges. Like when people bring me like, hey, last time I got this fudge for you and stuff, I'm always like, it's not good because it's compared to my mom's fudge. My mom does like this dirty chocolate fudge that, like you eat so much, there's so much sugar into it, so much fat combo at once that like you start losing your vision in one eye if you just go a little bit too much. It's to the point where it's such a small dose that it's just enough. It's a drug. It's a straight up drug. So my favorite type of fudge is Cindy's fudge. My mom's name's Cindy.
Aww. Mama fudge honestly, I've had fudge when I was a kid. I think my mom used to make it when she worked at a deli. I get the exact same thing. I'd rather have a homemade fudge because it actually tastes phenomenal, because when mama makes it, it's always good.
Made with love.
Except for when she makes buffondas, I'm very mad. She can't make the same buffondas as my grandma. So last question. What is your outlook on influencers helping out the fitness industry that are not educated or have the backing?
Well, if there's any that help, then that's good. But then you got to justify like what be considered help. So if an influencer is, telling people to, buy this product, or you can jump up and down on these spring things to get a killer workout in. And let's say they sell a bunch of them and people buy them, they don't really use them, or people buy them and they hurt themselves. And it's not a great product. That's probably not a good influencer. But let's say someone else says, you know what, I used to be 200 pounds overweight and then I lost 200 pounds. And that's their really only story. Like, that's the only thing they have. But so many people want to emulate them. So many people feel like they could be like them. And it was just that one person saying that, where they're like, hey, maybe I'm going to start exercise. Maybe I'm going to start doing something. Then that's an amazing person. That's changing people just with their little story. Their information they might have might be garbage, right? Because obviously what works for one person is going to work for everyone, right?
True.
No, but it could be that spark that just starts someone on their journey. And like I said at the beginning of this talk, the hardest things when people just start working out, they don't really know what to do, and they're worried about all these other things here. Just get in and get going is step one. So if there's an influence out there and they got a product or they got a thing or they got a booty or they got a story that gets someone off the couch for the first time, I think that's great. I think that's phenomenal. I think what happens is sometimes they do a disservice to our industry, because anybody can be a self-regulated anything right now. You just need the internet. True. If you're the internet, you are a self-healer, self-love, self-training, you got 10 different titles, and maybe you read a book, maybe you didn't read a book, right? Maybe you went to school, maybe you didn't go to school, and it does a bit of a disservice. And what's also not great is some of our education systems or education structures are not producing quality people as well. And that's where you'll find someone on the other end who's got no education, no background. They come out and they figured things out for themselves. So you can understand that, if you're undereducated, you're not sure what's going on. If you're overeducated, you're not sure what's going on. So I don't like the influencers that make things too confusing for people, or they just try to sell a product. But if there's people out there that have a story or just a message, even just a funny quote that gets anybody off the couch and into the gym or into a pair of running shoes for the first time, and they've got 1 million followers, then hey, that part's great. I think that's good, and we should just focus on what they can offer.
And what can't. I'm just kidding.
What they're trying to offer,
Thank you for all the subs, DJ. Hope you're having a great day. But besides that, that'll wrap up the show for today. So give me a couple seconds. I'm going to give you a nice big shout out to the rest of the people. Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys all for coming to the show with Sir Chris Fudge. Hopefully in the future we can have him on again. Thank you guys all for making it out to today's stream. If you guys have any questions, I've already put his name and his Instagram already in our chat. So yet again, guys, this is the coach, and I will be seeing you guys Saturday for my IRL stream at Showtime Fitness. I will see you guys on Saturday. Whew. Okay, give me a second. Give me 2 seconds. I will come to your thingy. I just gotta. Holy crap, we had almost 700 people. Oh shit, my mic's on.